Hi and welcome to this edition of BounceBack. I hope you're managing to stay safe and well and staying positive as well as we look forward to what we hope will be a return to work in the near future. In this series, we're going to look at self-reflection, assessment of your own skill levels in both coaching and business, and also how to plan to bounce back when that time is right. Yesterday we looked at the introduction to marketing and a brief little look at the theory of marketing. And today we're going to try and make that a little bit more specific to the actual tennis business. So again, just to refresh, what is marketing? The two favourite quotes of mine are, or analysis, is the management process responsible for the identifying, anticipating and satisfying customer requirements profitably. Or the one I really like is marketing is what makes the sales team obsolete. We discussed again yesterday the idea of segmentation, being able to break the market down into smaller pieces, being able to understand what those pieces are, make sure we can target them effectively and efficiently, and also remembering that each market segment has to be big enough to actually be worth going after to make sure that it's profitable. So the first little thing we'll look at then is how do we actually market segment the game of tennis? In simple terms, those that are already playing and those that are looking to take up the game. We don't know how this situation is going to affect us. We don't know whether it's going to encourage more people to take up activity, having been locked down for however many weeks it's going to be. We don't know whether people are going to be looking for different opportunities. Families have come together maybe a little bit more. Is that something else we can be looking to identify? And also those that are already playing, I'm sure, like we are as coaches, can't wait to get back on the court. The difficult thing is whether people were going to be able to afford to pay for the lessons as they were doing before, if they've either not been working, if they're self-employed, if they're being furloughed, or whatever the situation is. Are we going to have the same level of expendable money to actually be able to keep the business as it was? So we are going to have to be a lot more creative maybe than we've been ever before when we approach this new market. So when we're separating again, tennis does help us in terms of the market segmentation, especially with the kids, because we do have the mini green, orange, yellow, different balls, which obviously are age specific and therefore become a market tool in themselves. Obviously when we get into yellow ball, then we're looking at the different levels of play, and that applies also to the adults. So are we talking about beginners, intermediate, advanced or competition level players? And also then we need to look at the reasons that people play tennis. So why do people play tennis? Is it for the social side? Is it for the competition side? Is it just for some fitness, for some exercise? Why is that? And why do adults put their kids into tennis lessons, especially if they themselves don't play? So we know paddle tennis in Spain is huge, but it's predominantly played by adults. So the adults will still drop the kids for tennis lessons and then go play paddle. So looking at that situation, why do people put the kids in? And we need to understand this if we really want to start targeting our marketing, because although we're identifying the different groups, the mini red, orange, greens, they are not decision makers. The decision makers are the parents. So although that's a target market, the actual marketing has to be aimed at the parents, not at the 7-year-old tennis player. So are the reasons why people play: self-respect, some level of achievement, just to be able to play, and the fun. At the end of the day, the game has to be fun. If we're not having fun in the coaching world or in the playing, why are we actually doing it? So, look at these different reasons, play around with some ideas and come up with your own suggestions. People that don't play, we can look at the different age. We can look at what other sports they may be playing or their other social interests, health areas, the social side of the game, and what's our catchment area. We know people won't travel more than half an hour, but normally within half an hour of a tennis club, the market is pretty big. You know, there are enough people, unless you live on the coast, because then you've only got 50% catchment area unless fish decide to play tennis. But seriously, look at what your market is. What is the demographics of your club, of your area? Because your marketing has to be aligned to that kind of demographic. Take this into consideration when you're looking at your programs. So a good marketing plan has to be specific, measurable. There has to be a time limit to it, flexibility within it, and it has to be accountable for itself. So make sure when you're looking at what you're going to market, all these 5 things fit your plan. It has to be as clear and simple as possible. Then you can track it for its effectiveness as well as its efficiency. So to build a marketing plan, you have to understand your product. Again, what is the product? Are you selling tennis? To some people, yes. But to some people, you are selling the social side. You are selling the fun, the fitness, the competition. So be very careful when you look at the marketing to make sure you're marketing the right things to the right people. And understand that market. Why are people coming to play? Why are people looking to take lessons? Why do they take lessons? Have you ever asked? Have you ever asked the parents of the kids, again, especially those that don't play themselves, why have they chosen tennis as a sport for their child? And is there some common denominators across the board that you can then put into your marketing? Are all the parents giving you the same information? Because sometimes we don't see it, we don't understand it, because we're not looking at it from their side. So just take that time, be specific, and make sure you establish a good communication route. Not so difficult now with social media. You can build your WhatsApp groups, your Facebook groups. You can go through all the different social media and maintain that level of communication with the people that you're working with. So that's one of the ways of getting the message out, using that social media. You should have a website. It's not difficult now. You can get the templates for free. Doesn't cost much to actually register and maintain a website, but it gives you a really good image and maintains your position in the market at all times, as long as you take the time to put it together properly and keep it up to date. We do still see print media. There is still printing options. Flyers are still quite prevalent, and it's nothing wrong with them if you get them out into the right place. And banners, depending on where your club is. Can you put a banner on the street? Can you put it on the side of the court? How can you actually get those things out? And look at the different ways of being able to distribute the leaflet. Just one off the top of my head, big increase in the use of milkmen now in the UK. Is that something you can tap into? Can the milkman deliver a leaflet for you at the same time? Come to some kind of agreement? But they're going to lots of people in your local area, door to door. Is that an option? I don't know, maybe worth considering. So putting your plan into action. How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? And how long is it going to run for? So how is the medium? How are you going to get that information out? Think about the different ways you're going to link together your communication of that marketing. When? Honestly, at this moment, we don't know, but you need to be ready as soon as the government say, yeah, we can play, you can push that button. You don't want to start on that day putting your marketing together. It's too late. Do it now, ready to push that button and bounce back as soon as you can. How long do you run it for? Depends on what you're trying to market. Is it one of those that you need to keep the constant message going and going and going? Or is it a short hit for 2 weeks? Is it a special promotional marketing you're doing? The kick back into tennis, bounce back again. Are you going to use that to get people back in? Make the use of what tools you've got. You can advertise. Not so easy now, again, because not so much print media, but look at different ways you can advertise. Are you going to try and expand your market? You're going to try and consolidate the market you've got first? Have you changed your program? Are there different ways you're going to come into the market? Are you going to just promote and sell? Why are you going to advertise if you're going to do it? And if you are, you need to make sure you get a response. Whenever you see the different adverts, it's always use this code or use this code. That helps the people track where people got that information from. Critical if you're going to spend money. If you're going to spend money on advertising, you have to make sure you're getting the value for that money. So make sure you put some kind of code, some kind of color, something that when somebody replies, you know where they've heard about you from. And then you know whether that's money well spent or not. So free gifts, discount offers, first 100 people in, reply by Friday, all these different things you see all the time in normal marketing. So use those tricks. They're paying thousands and thousands of pounds, but the method is the same. So use it. Where can you advertise? When to advertise? Again, the when we don't know, but you need to be ready to go as soon as we can. Make sure your adverts stand out. How can you do that? I've seen ones where it looks like it's a coupon, so you think you've got to cut it out. It draws attention to it. I've seen people print their adverts upside down because it draws attention to it. So be a little bit creative again in how you get your advertising positioned if you're going to pay for it. And again, is it a one-off advert or is it a continuous? Print media hangs around for a long time. So remember, one-offs are not always the best option. Paying a little bit less if you're paying, but do it for longer, sometimes has better results, but you need to monitor that yourself. Budgeting. At this moment in time, that's tough. We know as coaches, we're not really earning at the moment, and we also have no idea when that's really going to kick back in again. So do we have a budget? If so, how much? What are you trying to achieve? Are there ways of being able to do that without having to spend any money or not spending too much? What are the goals of the advertising? Can you actually partner with somebody else to do some joint marketing? Again, now is the time to be creative in your thinking and look at how can you actually minimize that budget if you're going to have one. Be prepared when you're evaluating. Put in the mechanisms to control. Again, already said, make sure you're monitoring. If you're doing any marketing, make sure you know if it's being effective. If not, change it. Don't waste your time, change it. And make sure you have the keys to success. What are you hoping to do from this? So I want to get X number of new players. I want to be able to get 80% of my people back playing again within 1 month. What is your actual target? Because you need to know whether your plan's worked or not. So be specific. Already mentioned it, but it's so important if we're going to start spending time and possibly money on this. So what's the keys to success? Satisfaction of the customers. If people are coming back, then we know we're doing a good job. How is your image? How is this aligned? We've already discussed earlier in the season about building your brand. So how is that now affecting your brand and your image? Are you clearly distinct from other parts of the market? Can people tell the difference between what you're offering and the offerings of others? Do you have a unique strategy? What is your USP? What do you look for? And are you maintaining that in terms of consistency? And the use of technology now is so good. So look at what you can use and make sure that you are more prevalent, more clear in the market than your competitors. So here are your top 10 tips. Look at the market, the past, the present, and have a think about what you think the future will be and how is that going to affect your business. Product definition, already said, be very clear on what your product is. It's not just tennis. There are many, many reasons why people come into the sport, and we need to be trying to identify and target market those things. What is your competition? Sit down and just do a quick overview of your competition. How is your position in the market? What, again, do you position yourself against the other clubs and the other coaches in that area? And what is your communication strategy? How are you going to put all these pieces together into a clear, concise, simple message? When are you going to launch? Tough one. All we know is we have to be ready to go as soon as we are ready. PR. Can you have communication with your local media, the local radio station? We're going to have to try and motivate people to come back and play tennis again when this crisis is over. I'm sure people are going to want to get out and about. Many other people are going to be targeting the same thing. We have to be there as tennis coaches to make sure we're ready to try and tap into that market. Are you doing any advertising or promotions? Are your prices clearly defined? Do you know a strategy for your pricing? If you're discounting now to get people back, when are you going to put the prices back up? What's the plan for that? And again, the big one, the key is monitoring and evaluation. Make sure you're very, very clear on what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it. So remember, we're asking you to spend an hour a day on your own career and your own business and your own coaching. So take some time out. We have it at the moment, this unique opportunity to become better coaches and better in business, and be ready to bounce back as soon as we can. Don't wait for that to happen. Be ready, be prepared, and be ready to go. Thanks again for listening and watching. As ever, please stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.